Hello, friends.
Hello again.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of our should you allow your children to have a smartphone?
Children and technology, which is a really, really important discussion. If you haven't joined us for part 1, please do so. Lots of valuable information, and I would love to hear your insight about that. We talk about basically a philosophy of talking with your children in a way that brings them together. We want to motivate our children internally. We want them to know and have tools in place in order to be able to make good decisions about technology. And as we go into part 2, which is about kids who are already really deeply entrenched in technology, and that might mean ourselves too, that is going to be really important, that basic philosophy that we need to have a respectful relationship with our children or each other and ourselves so that we can have a respectful relationship with technology, which means that we don't necessarily have a compliance-based relationship where I'm the adult and you better darn well do what I say, but we have a way of hearing and listening so that we can make decisions together. And we have found, at least in our own parenting, that that bridges a gap, brings a special closeness that in the end creates what we were looking for in a far more profound way than if we just lay down a law.
This is so much easier to do when your child is 4 years old, they haven't really had tech exposure, and you're introducing them to tech. But much more difficult when your child is 12 years old and they spend 8 hours a day gaming, and when they're not gaming, they're texting with their friends. You're having trouble getting them to come to meals. They barely eat, and they go back into their room, and then they just eat Pop-Tarts and junk food as they continue to game. How do you deal with that? Because that's a lot tougher.
Really, really challenging. And I think one thing that I want to say just right off the bat is that we need to be kind and gentle with ourselves and our family, our children, as we go through this, because it was a process to get there. How do you get where your child is spending 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours on a device? Somehow that had to happen somewhere along the way. They didn't one day wake up and decide they're going to spend 8 hours on a computer or a device. So be gentle with yourself, with your family.
And that gentleness is tempered with responsibility.
Yes.
And this isn't just telling your children that they have to be responsible. More important is recognizing our own responsibility, the part that we have played in this drama that is unfolding. And that can be a tough balance to acknowledge your own responsibility while also being gentle with yourself. So try to walk that balance. Essential to remember as we begin this video that this is not about how to enforce behavior on your child. This is about, even at this stage, how to establish a new relationship with your child, spouse, whoever it is, yourself, and to make that a very, very positive relationship where both people are respectful of each other and understanding of each other, validating, listening to each other, and each person developing an internal responsibility that allows them to make positive, healthy choices in their life.
Now, it may be a journey to get there, though. As it took time to get where you are now, it will take time to change. And so we have to realize that this isn't about single-handedly changing your child's mind so that they think technology is awful and they're going to do exactly what you say. It has to be a process, and we need to kind of step into it with a lot of transparency, with a lot of honesty, and with the willingness to put in the effort, because any positive, good relationship that is deep and meaningful requires our effort. It requires us to pay attention. It requires us to circle back and apologize or say that we've done something wrong. It requires us to notice things. It requires us to ask questions and be good listeners. And so realize that this video is not about how to get your child to do what you want and to stop playing their video games. This is about how to have a loving, deep, meaningful, communicative relationship with your child and to help give them the tools so that they can go forward in their grown-up life making good decisions.
Knowing that the reactive part of our mind is going to look at that situation. My kid is on the computer constantly and wants to react. So it's when you talk about taking your time with it, I think that's a lot easier to do when you recognize that your reactive mind is going to hit some kind of a peak, and it's going to say, tomorrow this must end. That is not the intelligent part of you. The intelligent part of you is going to recognize that this is not about stopping a behavior, it's about changing a relationship. Mm-hmm. Your relationship with your child and your child's relationship with themselves. And that does take time. So focus on changing the relationship, not on changing the behavior.
And realize, this is maybe part number one, is that it begins with you. We are models for everyone in our life, but especially our children. And if I have had a negative relationship with technology, if I've been gaming for hours on end, if I've been choosing unwise ways in which to interact with technology, I need to start with me, because I cannot expect, as an adult, I wouldn't expect another adult to say to me, you got to stop that, while they sit back and do the same thing. I'd be like, oh, sure, hypocrisy. It's the same with kids. Kids are not dumb. They're super tuned in. It's like, okay, mom says I shouldn't text, but there she goes. That's the 20th time she's texted in the last hour. We need to stop and look at ourselves and say, what part have I played in where my child is with their relationship right now? And be really, really brutally honest while also being kind. So in a way, we almost need to take an outside viewpoint, pretend we're somebody looking in on ourselves and go, oh yeah, I see that. I see what Rebecca's been doing. Okay, well that's okay, because we know the addictive nature of technology. We know it's hard for us. If it's hard for us, how much harder for our kids? So we need to start with that first element, which is ourselves.
We have a really good, wise friend, thinking of you, Brett, who says, I mean, this isn't quoting him exactly, but I'll paraphrase his idea, which is that 99% of the time, if we look at somebody else and we see some fault in them, some behavior we do not like, 99% of the time, that behavior is present in ourselves. And our real annoyance or frustration or anger at that behavior is that we know inside of us that we have that, and we're kind of trying to hide from that in ourselves. So being brutally honest with ourselves here. You were just talking about being gentle with yourself. Now I'm saying be brutal with yourself.
I'm saying be brutally honest, but as a perfectionist, I can then put a second layer on, a second hat that's like, oh, I'm a horrible person. I'm a terrible mother. I've let this happen. And then that doesn't get anywhere. I just need to be like, I'm honest, and that happened, and I understand that that could happen the same way I would with my child. And that's the beauty of this, is that if you're having trouble, you can empathize and relate to your child too.
So anytime you see a behavior in someone else that you don't appreciate, look for the seeds of it inside of yourself. As Rebecca just said, what that's going to do, the magic of that, is it's going to create a rapport. Instead of you now being the parent who secretly does all this texting and watching like political stuff and spends all this time on their tech, and then is coming to your child who's been texting for the last 4 hours in their room, when you've been secretly doing stuff for the last 4 hours over here,
right.
and saying, you've just been sitting in your room texting for the last 4 hours. Your child gets that. They're like, whatever. Why am I going to listen to you?
Yeah.
So we need to model. And that is the toughest part of this, is recognizing the part that we play. That's tough on the ego, but it's essential. Or else the best result you're going to get is compliance, and that compliance is going to be temporary.
It will disappear
until they can do something behind your back, because they don't respect you. They're just obeying you as an authority figure.
So step number one is really looking at and assessing your relationship with technology, and where along the line of your child's relationship with technology have you modeled or allowed or aided and abetted them and their use of technology. That's step number one. It's almost like gathering clues and being really honest about it. So that's step number one. Where do we go from there?
Well, the next part is a tricky part, because let's say your child is spending 4 hours every evening texting in their room, and you feel this tension inside of yourself. Now, at some point, you're going to have to, in this relationship with your child, you're going to have to sit down and communicate with them why that disturbs you. But usually we don't actually know why that disturbs us. It just disturbs us. And so we have to look in and say, what is it about that that I feel is not right? And sometimes it's kind of a wake-up call, and we'll say, well, I'm not super clear about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I want them to be moving their bodies more because they're getting really out of shape, or what is it that I think that is bad about that?
There's a lot of different answers to that question. It'll be different for each person. But I think before you could ever ask anybody to make a change, it's really good to have clarity and think about, as you go through this, how would you want someone to communicate with you? If your spouse just sits down and says, I'm so tired of you doing this, and you say, well, okay, what is it that bothers you? I don't know, I just don't want you to do it anymore. You can't really move forward unless they can clearly say, hey, I miss you. We used to spend so much time together. Thursday, Friday afternoons, we would always get together. We go fishing on the dock. We don't do that anymore. I miss you. I want to do that with you. Tell me about this texting thing. Why is it so important to you? And that's a big thing. Gaining the clarity and then asking questions. It comes down to communicating and truly wanting from your heart to know what the other person is doing and why they're doing it. Because then you can get answers. Your child might say, well, I really miss my best friend. Speaking of you missing me, I miss my best friend. We're not in any classes. And then she has to go off. She just moved. She's going to soccer practice. I never see her. Only way I get to talk with her about stuff is texting. Aha.
Yes.
Now you have something to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't if you don't, get clear and communicate. And sometimes that means being vulnerable. Yes, as a parent, you need a model. It's okay to be a vulnerable human being. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be upset, as long as we can express that clearly to the other person, as long as we have that heart laid out on the table. And then we know when we ask our children something, they can see we really care. They may come out angry at you. They may come out with guns blazing. But if they do that, you're actually getting somewhere. If your child is mad at you, you're getting somewhere because they feel comfortable enough with you. They feel your truth, your genuineness. They feel that they can give you that emotion, that it's a safe place. The scariest thing for me as a parent would be a child who doesn't want to communicate with me, anger or any other strong emotion, because then I think they don't feel safe with me.
So however your child brings that communication onto you, whether it is with the guns blazing or with tears or defensiveness or excitement about this game that they love, trying to be in listening mode. Because if you don't understand that answer to the question of why they're in there texting so much, and again, you can try with your own mind to figure it out, the better way is to ask the child about it. What are they getting out of it? That's when, as you said, we're going to get something to work with. In this case, the child wanted connection with their best friend. And then we can ask, wow, is there a way that we could help them to establish that connection in a different way? And there's lots of ways to do that. One might be saying, hey, have you guys ever talked about Skyping or Marco Poloing? So here's a use of technology that is a little bit more intimate and connected. Even just calling on the phone. 10 times better than that is stepping up as a parent and saying, okay, I see this is really important for you to have this relationship with your best friend. You know what? If you tell me something that you love doing and your best friend loves doing, then let's sit down and I, as your parent, am going to try to find a good way to enable that to happen in real life. So you both love flight simulator video games. And what you're going to do is say, hey, I'm going to invest in a RC, remote control, model airplane for you guys. And maybe we can all get together. You guys can build this. We're going to go out to that. Most cities have a field where it's devoted to this. And you guys can fly that thing and hopefully not crash it. It'll be fun.
One thing to keep in mind is that it may not be that easy. You may have to be patient because that is a wonderful, wonderful scenario. You have a child.
But not realistic.
Well, a lot of kids may not be used to communicating, and this is where the patience part comes in. This is where you have to be a strategist. You have to be patient. You have to be ready and willing to put in the time. And they might say, I don't know, I just like to do it. And you're like, okay, great.
Not much to go on right there. Huh?
But you have to be, be persistent and be curious, and maybe be completely honest and say, look, I see where our relationship with technology is. I see where my relationship is with you. I really would like that to change, and I'm going to keep working on it. It's very important to me. I miss you. I love you. I want to connect, and I want to know about you, and I want to do the things that are interesting to you because I am into you, and I want to start to make a shift. And you might have to be patient. You might have to ask more questions. You might have to pay attention and be a little bit more of a sleuth. You might, as I said in the beginning, not be able to just convince your child in one argument that everything should be different. So maybe you can find out just by asking them about what they're doing. Hey, what game are you playing? Oh, it's this awesome game. I really love it. I get to be this warrior, and I love the idea of being a knight and fighting with swords and this and that and the other thing. And that's a great place to start having a conversation. Start talking about the game. Ask them about their character. What do they love about their character? What decisions do their characters make? And maybe that's like Kenton mentioned. Maybe you can get some shinai, some bamboo swords, and say, hey, let's try this out. I know it's not the same as your video game, but let's pretend anyway. Or maybe you want to get them into some live action role playing, or
like join us a family.
Buy them a cloak and be like, hey, do you want to wear a cloak? Because this seems cool. Or let's start a fire and let's be like a tracker and let's go out and let's have a fire and cook some food over it. And even though it may not be as cool as the video game, as you do this exploration, you may start to see some things open up. Maybe your kid loves this space game and you buy some laser tag, and pretty soon you notice, hey, they're asking to play laser tag more than they're asking to play their video game. You have to be willing to be patient. You have to be willing to try to look for clues, and then be communicative. Start to have a conversation. Once things do shift, say, hey, how was that? Want to do that a little bit more?
That, there's kind of like the entertainment tech stuff that, again, it's so addictive, you guys, that it's a powerful demon or dragon to battle. But real life stuff has a great appeal as well. And it might be an investment. We might not have the money to go to the laser tag place in town. You might not have the country just where you can go out and do it in your backyard. So you might have to go to that organized thing. It might be a LARPing group, whatever it is. But these are the most vital investments we can make in our life. As parents, we made the choice to raise children, and we are investing so much time, money, energy in bringing these people into the world, and these are the people that shape the world from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 98, how do you want to be treated? That's what I think sometimes. Okay, I really want the youth of today to really respect elders, and how can I be a person who is respectful, respected, and if I'm respectful to them, that respect can be reciprocated. And again, it comes down to any interpersonal relationship. How do I want to be treated? How do I feel when someone treats me one way, or someone asks me my opinion, or respects what I say and validates it even if they don't agree? That feels amazing. Children are no different. They're going to become those people. How we treat them is how they will then treat others. And so, as you said, this is a super important investment to make, is to help your child begin to have a relationship, begin to see that they have control. What we want to do is a choice. It isn't just the norm. Even though society says, oh yeah, let's go to the movies, do this, do that, that's all totally normal. Everybody should have a cell phone. Of course they want us to have that. We have a choice how we want to interact, and that's really important to realize. And no matter where we are on the spectrum, no matter where you are with your child or children, or yourself or your spouse, you can make a change starting right now.
Is there a time when it's time to just take the gaming console away from the child, or take the cell phone, the smartphone away? And I would step in, and I'm talking about older children. I think if it's a 4 or 5 year old and I've been giving them a tablet to just entertain them, at that point, it's probably okay just to say, whoa, okay, I see I've been doing this for the last 3 months. My child wants nothing more than to sit there. Maybe at that point, it's okay to remove it, still with communication about the mistake you've made. And then there's enough development going on there that it's going to be very easy to switch their mind.
Yeah, get
into
some
something
awesome
else.
library books and say, hey, how about you sit on my lap and I read to you instead?
Yeah.
Because that's what we crave. We want to be communicating. We want to interact. We want to be seen and heard. I mean, that's why video games are so popular, because you get to be a character and you get to make a difference. What you do matters. So as a parent, if you can show your child, hey, I want you. I mean, especially with the littles, it's like, it's probably going to be easy. But I personally do think there comes a time with older children, and this is hard because, again, this is where you have to weather some difficulty. Potentially you have to be prepared. If you've tried communicating, if you've tried changing yourself and how you model, if you have made a true effort,
And we mean months of
we're talking
real
about
effort
you really
on your
truly
part.
are. Not like, oh well, we had one conversation, didn't go anywhere, I'm going to rip that console out of the wall. No. This is like, as we said before, it took a long time to get where you are. It may take a long time to unget there. However, if you've tried and tried, or you have signals that this is something that is really truly unhealthy, then it may be time to step in and say, look, you've seen I've been communicating with you for months. I've made changes. I have done all of this. And I am worried about technology and healthy use of it. And this is where I've gotten to. And then that might be, if you can communicate that might be the point where your child goes, whoa, they're serious. Okay, wait, I will talk. And that might be all it takes. You might not have to take that console away or the phone or whatever it is. That might be enough. So remember to go into it very carefully and with communication, and to set up the ability for your child, to share their feelings, because they may be defensive, they may be upset, and in that case, you no longer have that reciprocal communication. They are going to need to feel, and you will want to show up and be able to validate. As I think we talked about that maybe in part 1. If you are met with that, you need to be able to realize your child is going through something very challenging. Pick something you really love that gets taken away from you. Like maybe you like a glass of wine in the evening every once in a while, and someone says, no more alcohol for you. Like, wait a second, why did that come about? Whatever it might be that you really enjoy, realize you might need to be there for your child and say, hey, I understand, and I know this might be hurting you, and I realize you might be angry with me. I'm okay with your anger. I know that, and I'm here for you if it shifts or if you have something you want to say. That is going to be hard, but that is where you build that beginning foundation so that you can move forward.
So this is, I think, a great example of Rebecca and I have this super deep, interconnected relationship, but we're always growing together and learning from each other. And so what she just presented right now, I might have a little bit different take on that.
Yeah.
And I don't think either one of us is right or wrong. This is where we would communicate and say, all right, let's bounce this off of each other.
Yeah, I would like to hear. Maybe we can just do that right now.
Yeah, because in some ways I heard you saying, like, well, I've done this, and now I'm going to remove it, which sometimes to me can feel like I'm alienating the person, saying, I've done all the work and you haven't stepped up. And I would put a challenge. Now that might, I'm not saying that won't work, because that might work.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think what I meant with that is just to notice I have made an investment, like from my self perspective, not necessarily child, I've done X, Y, Z and you've done nothing. I didn't mean it to sound like that, but more, I have made a lot of initiatives. And so I feel like I don't have another alternative. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the twist I'd put on it is I would suggest that if you're going to remove the tech from the child, that everybody in the family gets to pull their tech. Now that may not be completely viable if your work is tech dependent, but I think your child would see things differently if you say, I'm going to take this away from you, rather than if you say, you know what? This has gone on a long time. We've all been making an effort. We haven't seen changes. It hasn't worked. I think I'm going to pull the daddy card here and say we all as a family need to take a month-long technology sabbatical. And what that means is that I'm still going to use the computer, but I'm going to turn it. It's going to be faced out so you can all see what I'm doing. And I'm going to use it only for the work and only for the amount of time I need it to be there. And then it gets shut down. And we're going to tell everybody that we're not texting. We're going to tell people we're only taking phone calls, and only for this hour of the day that we're going to take phone calls. We're going to set down some strong restrictions, but we're all going to adhere to them. And then we're all in this together. And we can all talk about the frustrations and the toughness of it together. And that is another way that might work, because I can equally see how saying, you know, we've been trying this, hasn't worked, I'm pulling your thing away, might get that kid to be like, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
going to be
serious.
different for every kid. I really love what you said, though, because it's very all-inclusive. And in the end, what we are trying to do is be inclusive. And I think it's just going to be different for each family based on what each person is doing and how your child responds. But I think for myself, I think that would seem very fair if someone said, look, I'm taking this away from you, but I'm also taking it away from all of us, and we're all going to be in this together. To me, that's a very beautiful way of saying, I still support you, even though it's hard to know if your child will see it that way or not. Yeah. I think, and actually that's really healthy for everybody to take a break from technology, to do a technology fast. That might be a great thing for you to set up for your family, especially with older kids, to get them to do that and to see, oh wow, technology really does have a big hold on me. Because I think I grew up without smartphones. I mean, my dad was like one of the first people that ever had a computer that I knew, and he would bring it to all our elementary school classes, and everyone's like, wow, you know, would run some program with like lights that went across the screen. That was when I was a kid. Our children now, they are in the midst of it, is completely intertwined with their lives. So they may not even believe you when you say, yeah, technology really has a hold on our minds. They'll be like, whatever, mom and dad, you have no idea. So I think doing a technology fast, especially as a family, maybe even having a time where you literally go away from your home, if it's that challenging and you need to take it away, you all go
camping trip or
someplace, because nature has a healing property. We've seen it time and time again with the forest monks out here. They come out and they struggle with the boredom, which again, I liken to a detox from technology. You know you're on the right path, you're getting healthy because here's the boredom. Then technology starts to fade and we get this slowing down naturally in nature that's really very healing. And it's wonderful to watch that happen for forest monks and just for ourselves as we're out and about.
Here is an essential component, if you have to get to that removal stage, is that it is not just removal. If you just remove, you're going to be in a really bad place really quick. It must be removal and replacement.
Yeah.
So in that case, we're all going camping. We've replaced that removal with immersion in nature, going fishing together, doing things. If you're at home, that replacement has to be more creative. You're going to have a lot more time because you're not going to be on tech if you choose that everybody gets off of it method. And that means that you can devote that time to trying to engage with your children. Again, there are thousands and thousands of ways to do that. I think we mentioned a bunch in the first video, some in this video.
I feel like it's different depending on the age that your children are. And there can be a rough age sometimes with the teenage years and sometimes in the preteen years. And you're going to have to be a little bit more resilient as a parent and really trying some things and not giving up too easily, not taking it to heart. If your child needs some time, if they have the boredom, if that enters into resentment, keep trying, keep putting things out there. There are lots of interesting things to do just that are free. And you just have to think back to what your child is interested in. You want to go to the skate? They've always wanted to go to the skate park, and I've always said no. Just go to your room and play on your video game. Well, now I'm changing my mind. Let's go to the skate park, and and just really try to remember and notice, and start to pick those things out. And if you don't have any basis to go on, try to think back to when they were younger and what they were interested in, or see some things that you've heard them talking about. Really, just continue to try, and eventually things will even out. Your child will get through the boredom phase. You will too. You can be like, hey, oh my gosh, I feel like you do. I'm super bored too because I'm in the same boat.
Sometimes a child's going to say, I'm not interested in anything. Sometimes the seeds to what they're interested in can be found in their games. That's again, we're engaging them with their interest in that game. Why do they like being a warrior and going around in this world? What is it they like about that? You might be able to find a real life correlate that you can engage them in or get engaged in as a family. It's going to take some creativity, some sleuthing, but you're smart. You can do it.
And the reward in the end of being able to communicate with your child, of going through something. When we were in Hawaii, we ran into some difficult times, but we are more strong as a family than ever before because of that, because that's all we had was each other, because we did have to go through some difficult times. And when you get through that, there is a deepening that happens with your child or your family that it just has no price tag. And you sometimes have to keep that goal in mind and work towards realizing that every time you communicate, you are building, even if it doesn't feel like it. And know that those rewards of being together are so precious, and they truly are worth it.
All right, we're going to bring the girls in and have a short interview with them so they can share, hopefully
Can't
short.
wait to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I think seeing from their perspective might add one final slant to this whole issue.
So likewise, as in part 1, part 2, if you've got older kids and you're struggling, share with us, ask questions. We aren't the only people who have any say in this. Other people can help comment with what they've discovered. If you are a parent who's gone through this, or you have helpful hints, share those too, because that's how we learn and grow. We are a community, and we are using technology in a positive way to help each other out. And so just in the comments there, just start sharing ideas, questions, concerns, and then I have a feeling we'll just learn so much from each other through this. This is, again, to me, so important, because children are what we will all become. They are what the world will be.
All right, I've got Liliana, Mirabel here, and okay, I guess the first question was, what do you guys like using tech for? What are some of your favorite tech uses?
Learning.
Learning. Tell me about that.
Well, learning math and other things like that.
Yeah? Do you have a favorite thing to learn on there?
Learning and watching videos of veterinarians.
Oh, because you thought you want to be a veterinarian. How are you? What are you liking using it for?
Well, I have a little me and big me situation. So there's my little me who is, I likes like everything on there. Mine is TV and stuff that's not appropriate for me. But it's like, it likes all sorts of things. And it wants extra time. And then there's my big me that's more responsible. So I don't really have a favorite thing because it's mysterious.
Hard to say because there's different parts of you.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Mirabel, because I think it speaks to what a lot of us experience with this, which is that there is a pull towards some things in media, and then there's other things that are maybe equally enjoyable but feel different in a way. Is that kind of, okay. So you've got you're saying your little me, your big me that's drawn to different things. Now, when you give in to that little me, let's say,
So my
And
big me and my little me might like the same thing.
Okay.
But my little me is more of, I want to do more and more and more and more and more of this. I want to continue watching this. I want to continue doing this.
I
So
want
let's.
to
I might
continue
watch
having this.
a horse show video, and my big me really enjoys it. But then my little me is like, I want to see more, and I want to see more of that, and I want to see more.
so how do you stop yourself from spending all day long on the computer?
Well, you guys help me out with that. Why? Usually we have timed amounts on the computer,
Okay.
or what are some other things you guys do too?
Well, Beak,
Biking.
we do things together, right?
Yeah, we do things together. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're always asking me to come out and bike, play our bike game, which is kind of dangerous, but nobody's gotten really hurt yet.
No.
And well, you are good at getting us to come out and look at a bug. I mean, you're many times a day going, come here and look at this. Come here and look at this.
Yeah.
And then,
Especially, sometime we should give you a look at that pink spider.
oh,
white one.
I'll see if I can find some footage and put that up of that. So I'll be doing my work on the computer, and then I'll hear, Daddy, come look at this. Come look at this. And that's a chance for me to be torn between that place of, I'm in my momentum of work, she's calling me again, or to be, wow, what did she find, filled with wonder, and go out there. And sometimes,
I get off of screen time.
yeah. So sometimes I go either way, but I feel much better when I make the decision to come and look at whatever you have found out there, whatever this new creature is that you want to show us. I've noticed with you girls, you go over to somebody's house and they've got the TV on, and you won't actually want to be watching the TV. Why? Why is that?
I just don't like it. I don't feel that it's very
Neither.
appropriate for kids. Appropriate at all for kids. And it's not, no.
What about you?
Same.
Yeah? You said something about how it made you feel, Liliana. We were talking about this morning a little bit, and you said,
It doesn't make you feel good.
does
And
it make you feel...
hurts your brain.
So it doesn't feel good in
makes
here?
Me, if I
No.
watch a movie, so you were talking about TV, which is why I did not recognize it as
Sure.
where a movie I'm different about. If it's appropriate, I want to watch a movie. But sometimes I don't want to watch a movie if I want to go bike instead or something. And because if I watch movies, sometimes afterward my eyes
Are
kind of
sting.
sting and my brain feels kind of, I
Yeah.
might feel kind of brain dead maybe.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
So those are sensations that I think that I've experienced too, that I didn't experience when I was more mindful in my life. I just would watch a movie and it felt normal. The same way I'd eat junk food, it felt normal. And now if I eat some of that junk food, I can feel what it's doing in my body and it doesn't feel good. So I think that that's probably what you girls are experiencing, is that you have enough mindfulness in your life that when you watch something, even if it's a movie you like, you can feel the effect it has
Yeah.
in your brain.
Uh-oh, even though when I'm talking about it, my brain starts to have a headache.
Now, something a lot of kids will experience is maybe they start to develop their own positive relationship with technology, and then they go over to a friend's house, and that friend is like watching TV. Says, come on, sit and watch TV with me. So if you don't want to do that, how do you approach that?
I just say, well, I'm not interested. Why don't you come out and play outside with us?
Yeah.
And if that person is always on TV and always trying to get me to come over and watch it with them, and they never want to go outside
Yeah.
and play or something, then that's probably not a friend I want to
Yeah.
have.
Same with me.
Yeah?
Probably not somebody I want to have a friendship, strong friendship with, because just
Sure. Well, do you girls have anything else you want to share about your relationship with technology, how you've developed what I see from an outside perspective is a really positive relationship with technology?
I feel like we're pretty good with it.
Yeah?
But you guys helped a lot in that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we came together as a family, right? And we help each other and make decisions together.
Which is very nice.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Last words of wisdom?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, there it is from the kids, you guys. And I hope both these videos have proven enriching to you. Share in the comments your thoughts, your feelings, and your wisdom. All right. Love to you all.
Mwah. Love you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, this is a spider I found. Focus. So you can kind of get the hang of it. She's a pink and a white spider. Really beautiful.
Where is this spider?